The hour is late. The days are not ordinary, nor is this season without meaning. The world moves as if in a slumber, unaware of what draws near. But to the one who has ears to hear, who has eyes to see, the Spirit is whispering, even now, even tonight, prepare, for there is an appointed time that draws near, a day that has been written in the scrolls of heaven long before you ever took your first breath. May 09, 2025, not just a date on a calendar, but a marker, a crossing, a line drawn in eternity. The appointed moment approaches, and the call goes forth to the chosen. Prepare yourself. The ancients understood appointed times, the modem, the seasons of divine appointment. They were not accidental. They were not random. They were orchestrated by the hand of the Almighty, and so it is now. You live in a world that is spinning rapidly, faster than ever, like a vessel approaching the brink. And as it does, the hearts of men fail for fear, the darkness thickens, the voices rise, voices of anger, voices of confusion, voices of despair. But the chosen are not called to be swept away with the multitudes. You are not called to drift. You are called to stand. You are called to prepare. What is coming will not simply be a physical shaking, but a shaking of hearts, a shaking of emotions, a shaking of the unseen realm. The warfare that rages now is not first with flesh and blood, but with principalities, with powers, with the forces of darkness that seek to take captive the minds and hearts of the people of God. And it begins subtly. The enemy does not always come with swords and spears, but with whispers, whispers of discouragement, of bitterness, of regret, of failure, of hopelessness. He seeks to place chains on your heart that no man can see, but which weigh heavier than iron. But you, O chosen one, you were not called to bear these chains. You were not called to submit to the voice of the accuser. You were called for such a time as this, not to be defeated by the hour, but to overcome the hour. The negative feelings that come against you, they are not your identity, they are not your portion. They are not your destiny. The enemy brings storms to shake your peace. But storms are only allowed when they serve a higher purpose, to refine, to purify, to strengthen the vessel of God. May 09, 2025. It is not for fear that you prepare, but for readiness. The bride prepares herself for the coming of the bridegroom. The soldier prepares himself for the battle. The watchman prepares himself for the night. And so you must prepare not just outwardly, but inwardly, for the greatest battle will rage within your soul. Will you surrender to the waves of anxiety? Will you bow to the voice of fear? Or will you rise up in the authority given to you by the King? Understand this. Negative feelings are real, but they are not sovereign. They are loud, but they are not Lord. They knock at the door, but they do not own the house. You are the temple of the living God, and he who dwells within you is greater than he who is in the world. The feelings may rise like waves, but the foundation beneath you is unshakable, immovable, eternal. The key is not to pretend they don't exist, but to anchor yourself in the truth that transcends them. The days ahead will test many. They will bring weariness to some. They will bring confusion to others. But to those who are prepared, they will bring glory. For in the darkness, the light shines brighter. In the storm, the anchor holds stronger. In the shaking, the unshakable becomes visible. And the chosen, those who have been called out, will shine as beacons in a world that has lost its way. But it begins now, not on May 09, not tomorrow, but now. The preparation of the heart is today. You may feel the weight of the season. You may hear the voices of your failures, of your regrets, of your weaknesses. But hear now a greater voice. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in your weakness. This is not the time to run. This is not the time to hide. This is the time to stand, to rise, to overcome. The appointed time approaches. Prepare your heart, prepare your mind, prepare your spirit, for the time is near. If you're ready, I can now expand key point 2 in the same powerful, seamless, prophetic tone. Shall I proceed? As if he is delivering the speech live. And now hear this. For the battle that is coming is not where most will look. They will look to the world, to the headlines, to the shaking of nations, to the rise and fall of kings, to the signs in the earth. But they will miss where the fiercest battle will rage, not in the skies, not in the streets, but within the chambers of the human heart. For there is a war that is unseen, but no less real. It is the war within you. You see, the adversary knows where to strike. If he cannot destroy you with outward forces, he will seek to unravel you from within. He will whisper in the secret place. He will cast seeds of discouragement and wait for them to take root. He will fan the flames of fear and watch you tremble. He will stir up anger within you, planting offenses like snares in your path, hoping you will take the bait. And when you do, the chains are forged, chains that are not seen with the eyes, but chains nonetheless. This is the war of negative feelings, the war of despair that whispers, it's too late, the war of regret that hisses, you should have done better, the war of bitterness that poisons the soul, convincing you that others are your enemy, the war of shame that weighs heavy on the shoulders, saying, you are unworthy, and the war of fear that cries out, you will fail. These are not feelings to be entertained. These are not companions to walk with. These are the arrows of the enemy, forged in the fires of hell itself and aimed at your heart. But hear me now. These arrows have no power unless you allow them to remain. The enemy has always operated this way. He cannot create, so he corrupts. He cannot own, so he deceives. He whispers, lies wrapped in the garments of your own thoughts. He places his voice in the midst of your inner dialogue. And if you do not recognize it, you will come to believe that his lies are your truth, but they are not. You are not called to be a prisoner to these feelings. You are called to be victorious over them, for you are not the sum of your emotions. You are not what your feelings tell you in the midnight hour. You are not your past failures. You are not your weaknesses. You are what God has declared you to be, and He has called you chosen. He has called you His own. He has called you redeemed, restored, renewed. The enemy seeks to take you captive in the prison of your own mind, but you have been given the power to tear down strongholds, to take every thought captive to the obedience of the truth. This is not some distant hope. This is your present authority. You must not wait for the storm to pass to walk in peace. You must claim that peace in the midst of the storm. You must declare it even when the winds rage and the waves rise. For peace is not the absence of the storm. It is the presence of God in the midst of it. And know this, every negative feeling is an opportunity. When fear comes, it is an opportunity to trust. When discouragement comes, it is an opportunity to hope. When bitterness rises, it is an opportunity to forgive. When shame whispers, it is an opportunity to rest in the finished work of the cross. When anger burns, it is an opportunity to walk in grace. The enemy means it for your harm, but God allows it for your refining. Do not be surprised when these feelings come. The greater your calling, the more intense the battle. The greater your destiny, the fiercer the attack, but also the greater the victory that awaits you if you overcome. This is the ancient pattern. The wilderness comes before the promised land. The valley comes before the mountain. The night comes before the dawn. The war within is real, but it is not unwinnable. You have been given weapons mighty through God. The word of truth, sharper than any two-edged sword, to divide between the lies and the truth. The Spirit of God to strengthen you with power beyond yourself. The armor of righteousness to guard your heart. The shield of faith to extinguish every fiery dart of the enemy. And the secret weapon that the enemy cannot comprehend, the power of thanksgiving and praise, which turns your eyes from the battle to the one who already holds the victory. The battle is not yours. It belongs to the Lord, but you must stand. You must choose to reject the lies. You must refuse to give place to the accuser. You must anchor yourself in what is unchanging. For feelings will rise and fall like the tides, but the word of God stands forever. The storm may howl, but he who called you is faithful. And so I tell you again, the appointed time draws near. Prepare your heart, strengthen your spirit. The battle within is not your defeat. It is your proving ground. Stand and you will overcome. Shall I continue with key point 3 in the same prophetic flow? For this is where the enemy's strategy strikes most deeply. If he cannot destroy you with the storms around you, if he cannot break you with the war within you, then he will strike at the root, your identity. For if he can make you forget who you are, then you will surrender your authority, not because it was taken from you, but because you laid it down. You see, everything changes when you know who you are, and more importantly, when you know whose you are. The chosen are not ordinary. You are not here by accident. You did not come to this appointed hour because of chance or circumstance. You are here because of purpose, eternal purpose, written before the foundations of the earth. You were called forth, summoned, set apart. Not by man, not by your own doing, but by the sovereign hand that rules over all things. The enemy knows it. That is why he wages war against your identity. He whispers, you are defeated, you are condemned, you are unworthy, you are too weak. And if you accept these words, you live not as a child of God, but as a prisoner of your own mind. But hear me now, these are lies. You are not a prisoner, you are not forsaken, you are not rejected, you are chosen. The ancient people of God understood this. When all the nations bowed before idols of stone and wood, they stood as witnesses of the living God. They were not defined by their slavery in Egypt, but by their covenant with the Almighty. They were not defined by their failures in the wilderness, but by His faithfulness to bring them into the land of promise. And you, too, are not defined by where you have been, nor by what you have done, nor by what has been done to you. You are defined by the covenant sealed with blood, the blood that speaks a better word than any accusation, than any shame, than any failure. Do you not know that you are a royal priesthood, that you are a holy nation, that you have been grafted into the ancient olive tree of Israel, that the promises given to the fathers now belong to you? The same God who called Abraham out of Ur calls you now. The same God who parted the Red Sea makes a way for you. The same God who shut the mouths of lions stands with you even now. You are not a stranger to His promises. You are an heir, and because you are an heir, you do not fight like the world fights. The world fights with its strength, with its schemes, with its wisdom, but you, chosen one, fight from victory, not for it. You do not stand on shifting ground, but on the rock that cannot be moved. You do not need to fear tomorrow, for your tomorrow is already held in His hands. The enemy fears this truth. That is why he seeks to drown you in your emotions, to bury you beneath your failures, to blind you with the fog of despair. But the truth remains, you have been given authority. Authority to trample upon serpents and scorpions, authority to break every chain, authority to speak life where death once reigned, authority to command peace in the midst of chaos. Not because of who you are in yourself, but because of who you are in Him. When you rise in this identity, the negative feelings lose their grip. Fear cannot chain one who knows that the Lord is his refuge. Shame cannot cling to one who knows that he has been forgiven. Regret cannot control one who knows that God redeems the years the locusts have eaten. Anger cannot poison one who has chosen to forgive as he has been forgiven. Anxiety cannot rule one who knows that his Father holds all things in His hands. The chosen walk differently because they see differently. They do not see as the world sees. Where others see impossibility, they see opportunity. Where others see defeat, they see the makings of a miracle. Where others see the end, they see the beginning of a greater purpose, for their identity is not of this world, it is of the kingdom. You have been sealed for such a time as this, and because you are sealed, nothing can separate you from his love. Not tribulation, not distress, not persecution, not famine, not danger, not sword. You are more than a conqueror. You are a witness to the faithfulness of God in this generation, and as the appointed day draws near, your calling becomes clearer. The hour is urgent, the battle rages, but you are not called to shrink back. You are called to stand as one who knows who he is. For the victory is not for those who feel strong, but for those who know they are chosen. And so I say to you, remember who you are. Written in the same Jonathan Cahn prophetic tone, as if he is delivering it live. Now listen carefully, for in these final moments I will reveal to you the secret of victory. You have heard of the battle around you, the war within you, the identity that the enemy seeks to strip away from you. But what then is your weapon? What is the power that will allow you to stand when others fall? What is it that will cause you to rise above the waves of fear, anxiety, anger, shame, and despair? It is not a secret hidden from you. It is not locked away in some distant place. It has been given to you from the beginning, and yet many of God's people walk as though they do not possess it. The power is found in the ancient keys. These are not the tools of this world. They are not the weapons of man's making. They are the weapons of the Spirit, mighty through God for the pulling down of strongholds. They do not come from your strength. They are not of the flesh. And because they are not of the flesh, the enemy cannot touch them, cannot corrupt them, cannot destroy them. They are eternal because they are of him. The first is the Word, not simply words on a page, but the living Word. The voice of God written into human history, the sword of the Spirit sharper than any two-edged blade. When the lies come, you answer not with your emotions, not with your feelings, but with what is written. It is written, I will never leave you nor forsake you. It is written, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. It is written, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. The Son of God himself answered every temptation of the enemy with these words, it is written. And if the Son of God stood on what was written, how much more must you? The second is prayer. Not prayer as ritual, not prayer as obligation, but prayer as communion, as warfare, as intimacy with the Most High. When you enter into prayer, you step out of the natural and into the supernatural. The enemy trembles when the chosen bend their knees. For prayer is not weak. Prayer moves mountains. Prayer breaks chains. Prayer opens prison doors. When the early believers prayed, the earth itself shook. Heaven listens when you speak. The power of the throne is released when you call upon his name. The third is the Spirit. The same Spirit that hovered over the waters in creation now dwells within you. The Spirit that raised Messiah from the dead lives in you. You are not walking in your own power. You are walking in his. When you are weak, he is strong. When you have no words, he intercedes for you. When you cannot see, he leads you. The Spirit is your guide, your strength, your comfort, your power. The fourth is thanksgiving, and this is where many fall short. For in the midst of battle, in the heat of the trial, the natural response is complaint, is fear, is despair. But the secret weapon is thanksgiving. When you give thanks in all things, you are proclaiming that your God is sovereign over all things. When you thank him in the storm, you declare that the storm will serve his purpose. When you praise him in the valley, you announce that the valley will become your place of victory. Thanksgiving breaks the chains of despair. Praise shatters the walls of anxiety. The enemy cannot remain where true worship is lifted up. These are the ancient keys, the weapons given to the chosen. They have not changed from the beginning. The same keys that delivered Joseph from the pit, that brought David from the wilderness to the throne, that protected Daniel in the lion's den, that sustained Elijah on Mount Carmel, they are now placed into your hands, and because you hold them, you are never without hope. The world will tell you to rely on your strength, to follow your feelings, to trust in what you see. But these keys require faith, faith that goes beyond sight, beyond emotion, beyond reason. Faith that says even if the fig tree does not blossom, even if there be no herd in the stalls, yet will I rejoice. Faith that declares, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Faith that knows the victory was won on Calvary's hill, and that no force of hell can overturn it. The appointed day draws near. May 09/2025 is not a day of fear for the chosen, but a day of preparation. For what is coming will shake many, but those who hold the keys will not be moved. Those who walk in these ancient ways will shine like lights in the darkness. And when others fall, you will stand not by your own strength, but by the one who called you, who sealed you, who empowers you, who has already overcome. And so I say to you now, take up your keys and stand.